I talk strangers away from death for a living. Tonight, death said my sister's name and waited to see if my voice would shake. I'm Jordan Hale, 911. Calm is my job. Calm is my armor. Headset snug, chin high. Wind knifing through a broken pane someone tried to tape at shift change. Plastic rattles. The lights over B-side flicker like they're tired of staying on. Consoles hum, the city's heartbeat running through 1,000 wires that never sleep. Line 2 explodes. A scream, then a gasp. I'm Sophia, please, I'm alone. How far? Voice steady. It always is. 32 weeks. There's blood. I can't. Okay, Sophia, you're not alone. Hands on your belly. Breathe with me. My cursor skates over a frozen CAD window, the system gnawing on itself like it does in storms. The outside is a white wall. Plows barely winning. Units thin. The map pins her on the edge of the city, a strip of brick and wind and nothing. I push the call high priority. Supervisor pings me. Confirm building number, unit, entrance location. Extra verification. Policy. Precious seconds fall like ice off a ledge. Name? I ask, because I have to. Spell it. She sobs the letters. I type through the shaking in her breath. My sister Maya had breath like that the last night. She'd called me from a bathroom floor in Gary, Indiana. Blood and tile everywhere, the line cutting in and out. I didn't get there. I get here now. Hold pressure, don't push unless. Someone's knocking, Sophia pants. I can't get up. Do not open, tell me their voice. A muffled male shout filters through. She's in there. Dispatch is dragging their feet. Sir, I say into the void, hoping he hears through the door or through whatever phone he's on. Help is en route. Do not kick that door. I move pieces. Closest ambulance is boxed in by a plow that died in the street. Secondary unit tries to stake around, but CAD sends them south. I curse, reroute, shout across the floor. Unit 34, wrong sector. Swing west to Archer. Use the alley behind the laundromat. Lights flicker again. The broken window coughs snow dust across my keys. Lobby doors frozen. FD radios in. We're trying the rear. Copy, I say. Rear stairwell goes straight to floor 3. Odd numbers left. In my ear, I can hear Sophia moaning, and wind, and memory. Maya's voice had gone small, like she was apologizing for bleeding. I can't sit on my hands now. I flag PD to break the lock. It's risky. It's quicker. Supervisor pops on my shoulder. We need a second confirmation on unit number. There's an address discrepancy in CAD. The apartment layout on my screen doesn't match the form. Someone fat-fingered a digit months ago. I gamble. Left of the mailboxes, top of the stairs, third door. Don't push, I tell Sophia, when her panic spikes and I hear that deep animal sound that says the body has decided. Breathe with me. In, 2, 3, out. Sirens rise, alien and holy. Relief sharp enough to cut. And then my other screen lights up with a trending clip. A screenshot of our CAD with a timestamp circled. A thread screaming that I sat 5 minutes on a pregnant woman. Someone leaked it. My name in the comments. A neighbor's video from the hallway. A shaky door. A voice yelling, she called 5 times. Dispatch isn't coming. My fingers don't tremble. My mouth stays calm. They're at your door, I tell Sophia. You're going to see them. Keep breathing my count. I hear the crash of entry and footsteps, and then a medic swears softly in the way that means work starts now. By the time my channel clears, my stomach is a burning coal. I pull the recording to prep the report, to defend the timeline I know with my skin. I hit play. The file hisses. Then a voice under Sophia's, not mine, not hers. A calm male murmur, close to the mic, saying, We already called. Hold her. Wait. I wasn't on a conference. No one was patched. The hair rises at the back of my neck. The plastic on the broken window clicks. My phone buzzes. Unknown number. The call ends. A hard knock slams the center door. Midnight. 2 suits. Badges like knives. Jordan Hale? The taller one says. Internal affairs. We're going to need your headset. I look at the frozen CAD, the flickering light, the snow dust melting on my keyboard, and I know this isn't about a bad night anymore. It's about the kind of lie that kills twice. Once in real time, and again when the tape tells it was your fault. I'm Maya Thompson, 32, and I'm a nurse on the night shift in the geriatrics ward of a hospital that feels more like a labyrinth of cold metal and buzzing machines than a place of healing. The fluorescent lights overhead hum incessantly, casting a harsh glare on the sterile white walls. Machine sounds blend together, the soft beeping of monitors, the rhythmic hiss of ventilators, the distant shuffling of feet echoing down the long linoleum corridors. The air is tinged with the scent of antiseptic, a clean that can never quite mask the undercurrent of despair that seems to permeate the place. I often wonder if that smell stays lodged in my clothes, hitting me like a wave of no. Each patient is a person. I remind myself of that often. Mr. Johnson, with his stories about fishing at the lake. Mrs. Larson, who knows the names of every grandchild as if they were the stars in the sky. I've been here 3 years, and the bittersweet weight of those connections hangs heavy. Each shift, I pour my heart into caring for them, but I've made sacrifices that weigh down my spirit in ways I didn't anticipate. At home, my daughter Chloe is nearly 5, and every time I see pictures of her on my phone, I feel the twinge of missed moments, birthdays, recitals, even just quiet evenings on the couch. I am the parent who promised to be at every event, but instead has to call her from the break room, wishing her luck in her school play, while the faint chaos of hospital life thrums in the background. My husband Mark tries to understand, but the strain shows in his eyes, the sleepless nights he spends alone, or the chit-chat that fades into silence between us. It's hard. Some. And yet, there's a quiet kindness that lives in me, a promise to myself. I remind myself that my patients are not just numbers, their lives not mere statistics on a spreadsheet. Every time I brush my hand against Mrs. Davis's frail shoulder or listen to Mr. Hargrove's tales of the war, I realize that these fleeting exchanges make me a part of their stories. I hold their hands during moments of panic, whisper encouragements as they let go of their pain. I treat them not just as patients, but as family, whose lives I'm meant to touch, even if only for a moment. But there's an uneasy tension looming tonight. A doctor I've worked with for years has been unusually careless, forgetting dosages and mixing up charts. I say something, but he brushes me off with a grin, too confident in his underwhelming competence. Meanwhile, gossip ripples through the break room. An emergency room nurse warns of a staffing shortage. I shake it off, but whispers like that have a way of echoing too loudly in a place like this. As I check in on Mrs. Lawrence, who's been particularly restless this evening, I feel the weight of anticipation in the air, as if the walls are about to close in around us. I can see the clock ticking audibly above the door, reminding me of every second, every patient I haven't yet seen. The coldness of the hospital presses against my skin, and yet I dig into the warmth of my humanity, knowing that each moment matters. That spark I feel in my chest for helping others is still alive. It has to be. Something is coming, though. I can sense it deep in my bones, an unrelenting dread simmering just below the surface. I take a deep breath, knowing it won't be long before it all unfolds. I'm Maya Thompson, and tonight feels different. The air in the geriatrics ward hangs heavy with an unsettling tension that wraps around me like a damp fog. It's just after midnight, and the fluorescent light. I can hear the clatter of a tray as it hits the floor down the hall and the murmurs of a restless night shift. But there's something else in the energy tonight, a whisper that tells me trouble is brewing. As I make my way to room 306, I can see Mrs. Lawrence through the small window in the door. She's in her usual spot, shifting uneasily beneath the thin hospital sheets. The smell of antiseptic does little to mask the more personal scent of her fading spirit. Her frail fingers clutch the sides of her bed as she stares toward the ceiling, lost somewhere between dreams and the harshness of reality. I move to her side, fully intending to offer comfort and a dose of reassurance. Suddenly, Dr. Henderson strides in, a bundle of confidence in a white coat that boasts far too much swagger for someone who barely makes eye contact with the patients. He flips through Mrs. Lawrence's chart with the casualness of someone who has forgotten how to listen. "We need to increase the morphine dosage," he declares, the words dripping from his lips as if he's handing out candy. "But she's already on a high dosage, doctor," I interject gently, hoping to bring him back to a place of sanity. "Her vital signs are already fluctuating. We should wait and observe." He narrows his eyes, irritation flaring like a lit fuse. "Are you arguing with me, Nurse Thompson? You're not the one in charge here." And there it was, the moment I realized he was flinging accusations like a toddler throwing temper tantrums. Everyone around turns to gawk. My colleagues stop and stare, waiting for the fallout. If you've ever been unjustly accused, you know exactly how I felt. The heat rising in my cheeks as I realized I was about to be humiliated in front of my peers, in front of a woman who relied on us to care for her. "Perhaps I'm merely advocating for her care, doctor," I reply, my tone unwavering. I maintain eye contact, refusing to back down. Wouldn't you agree it's better to err on the side of caution, especially with fragile patients? The tension thickens in the air, and the silence hangs like a suffocating blanket. Dr. Henderson's jaw tightens, and for a moment, I hear nothing but the bleeps of the monitor as it measures Mrs. Lawrence's fading heartbeat. The sound that reminds us all we aren't dealing with just charts and numbers, but lives. It's like the room holds its breath, bracing for either a breakthrough or an explosion. He shakes his head, dismissing me with a wave of his hand. "We'll do things my way, as always," he retorts, voice dripping with condescension. I grit my teeth, the urge to retaliate clawing at my insides. Little did I know that this attitude would put me against the entire hospital. But I wouldn't let that happen easily. In the chaos that follows, Mrs. Lawrence begins to whimper, her frail body trembling beneath her sheets. "Please, don't let them hurt me," she whispers, her voice quaking. Every instinct in me screams to soothe her, to reassure her that she's safe, that I'm here. But the combination of Dr. Henderson's carelessness and my own frustration bubbles to the surface. "Sir," I say firmly, moving to her side, "I need you to calm down. You're not alone." Again, she's on a high dosage. Let's sedate her gently instead of throwing more of a narcotic at her. I feel a rush of adrenaline. Nerves are taut, and the room grows colder as another colleague mutters something about protocols. "Hurry it up!" An impatient family member yells from the doorway, his face stamped with anxiety, a daughter standing by him with tears glistening in her eyes. She needs help, not more arguing. Maybe you understand the pain of seeing someone fragile being ignored, seeing medical professionals squabble while a patient becomes insignificant among their disputes. Dr. Henderson's face turns a shade of crimson. "You're putting the hospital at risk," he snaps, his voice booming. "And you dare question my authority? This is a simple situation." He brushes past me, pulling up his sleeves as if he's ready to take on the world. I can feel every eye on me, irritation and judgment pooling like thick sludge, ready to consume. Yet I find clarity amidst the storm. I won't crumble. I've dealt with worse, nights filled with unspeakable loss and deep regret. I make a note in Mrs. Lawrence's chart, documenting my objections with precision, ensuring my voice remains in records. I feel the pen glide against the paper, firm and steady. It's a small victory, but one I'll take. And it was in that silence that everything began to collapse. Just then, a loud crash interrupts our moment. A cart tipped over in the hallway. I glance towards the door, heart racing, anxiety nibbling at the edges as I feel the rush of uncertainty wash over me. In that instant, destiny was already decided, and I still didn't know. I'm Maya Thompson, and I'm not sure how everything got out of control so quickly. 1 minute, I'm standing my ground for Mrs. Lawrence, fighting to protect her from Dr. Henderson's reckless prescription. But then, almost as if a dark cloud rolled over me, everything spiraled. I hear a shout, a voice piercing through the ambient noise of beeping monitors and distant voices. Where's the nurse who believes she knows better than the doctors? It's a family member, Mrs. Lawrence's son, hands clenched, pacing like a caged animal. He storms into the room, eyes wide with panic and barely contained anger. Uncertainty oozes from him. I can feel it tightening around my throat. "Excuse me?" I manage to say, fighting against the impending swell of humiliation that creeps up my neck, heat and pressure gathering until I taste metal against my teeth. "I was just trying to fix it. You're supposed to fix it," he yells, backing me into the corner of the room. He doesn't even see Mrs. Lawrence lying there, frail and trembling in her bed, just a woman worn down by the years and the pain. His voice reverberates in my ears. "Fix it," echoes around me like a hollow chant, but I had no idea it was still going to get worse. Dr. Henderson, the self-proclaimed king of this hospital, stands right behind him, an arrogant smirk plastered across his face. "See, even her family agrees with me," he says, feigning concern while wearing his authority like a shiny badge. "We need to approach this with a more aggressive treatment plan. They trust me to take care of their mother, not you." The moment feels like it stretches into infinity, dragging behind it every ounce of my resolve. I can feel the eyes of my coworkers trained on us through the glass, the observation window feeling more like a sinister spotlight than a protective barrier. I pull my shoulders back, hold my head high. This isn't about me. It's about Mrs. Lawrence. "You can't dose her like this, Dr. Henderson." "I've seen what happens," I protest. My voice stronger now, but my heart races quicker than I can think. I refuse to back down. There's too much at stake. But that quiet whisper of dread settles deeper. "Unbelievable." He scoffs, shaking his head as if I've just suggested something ludicrous, like giving a lecture on cloud formation during a thunderstorm. Henderson would rather assert his dominance. I can feel the pressure building, and in that moment, something inside me shifts. It's a small ember glowing against the darkness closing in. "Doctor," I say, trying to keep my voice calm even as my pulse races. "This isn't just protocol to follow. These are people. They rely on us to protect them." I don't know how confident I sound, but I try to convey every ounce of care I carry in me. Dr. Henderson waves dismissively, and that's when I hear it, the soft whisper of Mrs. Lawrence. "Maya, please," her voice barely pierces through the noise, but just the way she looks at me, where the desperation in her gaze sparks a fire. I walk back to her side, desperate to provide solace. Suddenly, the door swings open wider, and the charge nurse strides in, her expression tight, eyes flicking between us like she's watching a tennis match. "What's going on here?" she demands, tension crackling in the air thick enough to cut. The family member's eyes flash with indignation. "She's holding my mother back from healing. If you have someone that can treat her, why does she get to interrupt?" I feel the blood drain from my face. Everything around me grows quiet. It's as if the hospital itself has drawn a breath. There's no hiding from those words. The accusation lands like a punch to the gut. It's not just my medical record now. It's my name at stake. Everyone out. The charge nurse commands, her authority ringing clear. But the atmosphere feels electric, a raw embarrassment buzzing through me like static. I'll take care of this. For a moment, I think there's hope. But then Dr. Henderson sneers. We both know how this'll play out, don't we? And in that moment, like a dam bursting, the pressure releases. I feel the weight of all those unshed tears and frustrations crashing down around me, leaving me trembling in its wake. I refuse to let it swallow me whole. I've spent too long caring for others to let this risk drag me under. But I had no idea then that the worst was yet to come. As the chaos settles, the charge nurse looks back at me with a mix of apology and hesitation. I'll handle this. Wait for me out front. A vague promise, but not the reassurance I crave. With heavy feet, I leave, forcing air into my lungs, feeling the tight knot in my stomach squeeze painfully. In the hallway, my lab coat feels heavy, stained with the tension and conflict marking this night. I hear whispers as I walk by, a couple of nurses casting side glances, their hushed voices barely reaching my ears. I catch fragments, fighting, too emotional. I feel their eyes boring into me, judging, standing witness to my humiliation. The air crackles with tension. And as I drift toward the nurse's station, I catch a glimpse of the crumpled medical records in my pocket. Proof of my diligence, my dedication, yet now they feel like a shackle instead of a shield. With every inch I move, I can't help but wonder if this was the moment when my humanity slipped through the cracks, or if it's a moment of realization, a kick of clarity in this unfolding chaos. I take a deep breath, forcing myself to stand straight. 90 seconds pass, then 2 minutes, and still nothing. But I feel the stairs of dread clawing up my spine, and that little ember of hope sputtering in my chest. And that's when I heard a voice that would change everything. I'm Maya Thompson, and the hallway of the hospital feels like a ticking clock. Each second punctuated by the whispers and stares I can't help but notice. I can practically feel the weight of scrutiny pressing on my shoulders, the judgment swirling around me like an insatiable fog. Everyone's eyes are glued to the charge nurse's office door, waiting for me to either emerge victorious or retreat in disgrace. There's something about the tension that makes every breath feel electric, hanging in the air like a frail promise. Moments pass, and I can hear muffled snippets of conversation, a few colleagues speculating about what's going on, probably wondering if I'll be the doomed hero or the scapegoat. The anxiety builds inside me, twisting my stomach into knots. Just then, the door swings open and the charge nurse step. Good luck with your little crusade, Maya. You're only showing everyone how clueless you really are. He points a finger at me, jabbing it as if to emphasize his point. My blood boils and I fight against the impulse to lash out. He's invited the whole world to watch my humiliation. And the audience behind me, my colleagues, the families of patients, even strangers in scrubs, are waiting for a spectacle. Their eyes feel like knives, every gaze slicing deeper. Dr. Henderson, please. I plead, trying to keep my voice steady, my back straight. This wasn't just about protocol. You know we have to think of Mrs. Lawrence as a person, not just a case on the charts. We owe her that much. My voice quivers with a mixture of indignation and desperation. We should be listening to each other, not throwing accusations. Ah, the martyr act, he sneers, crossing his arms, leaning back as if he's found the best seat in the house. Everyone take notes. This is how you dig your own grave while we care for the real patients. The laughter bubbles beneath the surface, igniting a red haze of embarrassment creeping up my neck. In the distance, I see Mrs. Lawrence's daughter standing by the door, torn between frustration and concern. Mom doesn't have time for this, she shouts, her voice cracking with emotion. You're supposed to be a nurse, not a nagging child. Just fix it. The din of whispers grows louder. What's taking so long? I hear someone murmur. This is unprofessional. The mix of voices sinks like stones in my heart, each word clashing against the fragile hope I've been clinging to. Are they right? Am I really losing it here? Dr. Henderson inches closer, invading my space, his breath hot with contempt. You're making a mockery of this hospital, so why don't we just save everyone the trouble and get you reassigned? Maybe some time away from the geriatrics ward will do you good. His tone drips with mock concern, but I can feel the knife twisting in my gut. I swallow hard, the threat of suspension looming like an iron curtain. Reassignment? I repeat, anger bubbling up, my hands trembling by my sides, almost wanting to strike back. You think sending me away will fix what's wrong with how we treat our patients? That's not an answer. It's a coward's way out. The words shove through me like a dam bursting, raw emotion rushing to the surface. You're risking lives with your arrogance. I won't stand by while you treat patients like mere numbers. The crowd closes in. I can sense them shifting, some leaning closer, some recoiling. Dr. Henderson opens his mouth to retort, eyes ablaze. How dare you speak to me like that when you're the one putting patients at risk? Do you even understand the implications of your actions? Suddenly, a coworker from the unit, a friend who'd shared late-night shifts and cups of terrible hospital coffee, steps forward. Maya's right. You know, she interjects, her voice firm. Mrs. Lawrence deserves better care than this. We all want to provide quality service. You can't just pretend our feelings don't matter. A ripple of murmurs runs through the crowd, pulling me back, reminding me that I'm not alone in this fight. Frustration and anger have brought the toxicity of this situation to a boiling point, a moment suspended in defiance against an unfair system. But Dr. Henderson isn't done. He turns to my friend, his expression slipping into condescension. And you're willing to risk everything for her? You'll throw your career on the line for a moment of empathy? Esri's averted gaze stings. The air thickens with judgment, and the room feels smaller. I can't let this be how I define my work, who I am. It's not worth it if we can't acknowledge the humanity in our patients. I refuse to walk away after dismissing those who need us most. But even as my voice rises, I hear a whisper inside me that questions the battle I'm waging. What if I'm not strong enough to take this fight to the end? What if I'm left without a career, without the very reason I stepped into this job? Dr. Henderson simpers, gesturing with a hand like a magician performing tricks. Ladies and gentlemen, behold, the nurse who thinks she knows better. How's that for irony? A laugh that follows is relentless, infectious, drenching me in a wave of shame. I can feel my knees weak. Just when I think about surrendering, letting the embarrassment wrap around me like a second skin, I grip the edge of the counter, letting the cold metal anchor me in reality. No, I can't give up yet. I'm not going to sit down and let you dictate who I should be. And then I hear an unexpected voice, calm and steady, piercing through the chaos. Enough. The charge nurse takes a step forward, cutting through the noise. This is not how we treat one another. Not here, not ever. I look up, fighting through the blurred vision of humiliation, and I realize I'm not alone in this at all. But just as I seek that camaraderie, the room holds its breath. The future unclear, and I brace myself for what comes next. What does this ally mean for me? What price will I have to pay for choosing a right path? I don't know yet. Only that something unexpected is about to change the course for all of us. I'm Maya Thompson, and as I stand in the bustling hallway of the hospital, my heart races against the tidal wave of emotions crashing over me. The charge nurse's words still hang in the air, reverberating in my mind. This is not how we treat one another. My body is coiled tight with a mix of adrenaline and despair. as if something is about to snap. I glance around, searching for a shred of understanding in the faces of my coworkers. Their eyes flicker between me and Dr. Penny. Henderson, who stands there, a titan of arrogance wrapped in a white coat, smirking as if he has all the power in the world. But as the weight of the silence presses down on me, like the oppressive sterility of the hospital, I can't shake the feeling that something is about to shift. In that moment, right when I feel like I'm drowning, a voice calls out from the far end of the hallway. Excuse me, please. It's a woman, not from our unit. I can't place her at first. Dressed in street clothes, she moves closer, her face flushed with urgency and fear. There's a look of determination in her eyes that cuts through the friction in the air like a hot knife through butter. Can I help you? The charge nurse asks, still maintaining her commanding presence, but I can see curiosity knitting her brow. I'm looking for Mrs. Lawrence, the woman stammers, and I feel a jolt. This is one of those moments when timing feels elastic, stretching and clinging to me. Some distant part of my memory grasps at the name, warning bells ringing in my mind. Mrs. Lawrence. Who are you? I blurt out before I can stop myself. Shockwaves of annoyance rise to the surface. What does she want with Mrs. Lawrence? I'm her granddaughter, she replies, breathing heavily, pausing as if I'd struck her with a sudden memory. I was just told she's not in her room. She casts a desperate glance at me, and I can't help but think about how delicate that moment is. I spent countless nights worrying about the families of patients. We're taking care of her, I say, softening but still unsure where this conversation is going. She's stable. The granddaughter bites her lip, glancing back down the corridor. Can't you just check? I just want to see her. I hesitate, feeling the mounting tension shifting in the air once again. Should I trust this woman? There's something about the way she stands there, a mixture of fragility and resolve that pulls my heart. I nod toward the charge nurse, whose mouth is set in a hard line of contemplation. Maybe we should verify, the charge nurse begins, but Mrs. Lawrence's granddaughter interrupts, her voice raising an octave. They're hiding something, she exclaims, a hint of desperation pouring out. I know my grandmother, and she wouldn't just disappear. There's something wrong. The effect of her words is electric, ricocheting off the walls. Dr. Henderson scoffs, tossing his hands up like a magician revealing a bad trick. Here we go, he mutters, conspiracy theorist in the family. But I can feel the tide changing, how the attention shifts toward the granddaughter, and suddenly I'm caught in the crosshairs of this unexpected conflict. I can't shake the feeling that there's more beneath the surface, something that connects this moment to the tension of what just happened in room 306. My mind races, trying to make sense of the fragments swirling around me. I look at the granddaughter, really look at her, and I see a flash of something in her eyes, a deeper worry mingling with fear. There's a history she's carrying that I can't understand. Just then, she pulls a crumpled paper from her pocket, and I catch a glimpse of a name scratched across the top. I lean in closer, the ink smudged but readable. That's Dr. Henderson's signature. I whisper, a cold wave washing over me. Exactly, she replies, her voice low but fierce, and look at the date. She unfolds it further, to reveal a detailed medical report. My breath catches in my throat as I recognize the name. The very concerns I tried to voice echoing back at me. They changed the dosage after the initial assessment without explanation. It doesn't add up. They want to cover something up. The implications hit me like a fist to the gut, and I feel the ground shift beneath my feet. Why didn't I think of records? The very documents I'd been so insistent about preserving. My pulse races. That nagging dread spirals into a thought that explodes in my head. What if Dr. Henderson did something deliberately reckless? Can I see that? I ask, my voice barely above a whisper. The moment feels heavy as she hands it over. I turn the paper over in my hands. Noting the discrepancies, the date, The signatures, the careful edits that speak volumes of chaos hidden in fine print. "Please," she urges, a hint of desperation creeping into her voice again. "My grandmother's safety is at stake." I meet her gaze, and in that moment I realize someone knew this truth all along, and maybe it wasn't just the granddaughter who brought the impossible to light. The weight of realization sits heavy on my chest. If we're right, it's not just about mistakes. It's about lives on the line. But just as I'm about to confront Dr. Henderson, the charge nurse returns to us, eyes blazing with a newfound intensity. "What's going on here?" she demands, stepping between us, the tension in her posture mirroring my own dread. And then I understand. I'm standing on a precipice, and everything I thought I knew could crumble before my eyes. I can feel that heavy silence creeping in again, the kind that stifles breath and expectation in one fell swoop. "We need to act fast," I say, locking eyes with the granddaughter, "before it's too late." In that moment, I realize someone knew the truth and had just let it slip. I'm Maya Thompson, and the moment feels like a tightrope walk over a churning ocean. The chaos in the hallway of the hospital has settled into a heavy silence, a silence thick enough to drown a scream. The tension is palpable, charging the air with electricity, and I can see the fear in Mrs. Lawrence's granddaughter's eyes like a mirror reflecting my own despair. Just when I think I might be able to bring this moment of clarity to a resolution, the charge nurse steps into the fray. "We need to check on Mrs. Lawrence," she states, her words firm, eyes flashing with an authority that commands attention. We owe her that much, but as she speaks, Dr. Weiss. Henderson's expression shifts from arrogance to something darker, like a storm cloud gathering within him. "You're all being hysterical," he spits, venom lacing his tone. "This is a simple procedure. You're jeopardizing patient Kip with your baseless fears." I watch as he tries to regain control, his bravado flaring, as if trying to mask the shaking in his hands. "You'll ruin lives with this nonsense. You don't understand what's on the line." His eyes dart to the gathered crowd, searching for allies, finding none but a collection of judging faces inching away from him. "Stop!" The granddaughter's voice rises, trembling but strong. "You can't manipulate us, playing the victim when you know the truth. We all know something isn't right." She holds the paper aloft as if it were an indictment, and I feel the tide of anger swell within me. I take a step closer, my heart hammering in my chest, my resolve igniting like a match to kindling. This was it, the moment the truth broke free. "Let's see that," I say, moving beside her as she hands it to me. The hospital's fluorescent lights, harsh and blaring, cast an eerie glow over the document. There it is, plain as day, altered dosages scrawled in a hurried hand, the timestamp revealing a timeline that's destroyed my confidence in everything I thought I knew. I raise my voice, steeling myself against the wave of panic threatening to swallow me whole. "You said you weren't aware of any changes, Dr. Henderson. Tell us how this happened." His face twists in confusion and irritation, panic threading through his bravado. "I don't have to explain myself to you," he retorts, his voice trembling as he backs away, but I can see the flicker of recognition that he knows he's losing control. "Look at this," I declare, thrusting the document toward the onlookers. There's a chorus of gasps as families and coworkers shift uneasily, eyes widening at the implication. The tension coils tighter, a rubber band stretched to the breaking point. "What did you do?" a nurse from the unit asks, stepping hesitantly toward us, brow furrowed in disbelief. Doubt seeps into the crowd like poison, and I can feel the dam breaking. This wasn't just about Mrs. Lawrence anymore. Dr. Henderson's bravado crumbles as he realizes the chain reaction set in motion can't be stopped. "No, you don't understand. I was trying to help. It was all just to what?" I press, voice rising with intensity. I can't let him talk his way out of this. "What were you trying to do?" help patients by endangering their lives? There's no justification for what you've done. And for a brief flicker of a moment, I feel a rush of almost pity for him. A strange, unwelcome twinge in my chest. I see the man who was once considered a respected doctor, now shaking. A desperate plea for understanding etched across his face. But in that moment, I quash it with indignation. Pity had no place here. You had the power to make a difference and chose negligence instead. The words feel raw, like shrapnel tearing from my heart. I lock eyes with Mrs. Rouleau, Lawrence's granddaughter, her face a mask of determination, and I take a deep breath, readying myself for the irrevocable decision ahead. Everyone deserves better than this, I declare, positioning myself as the thunderous storm that cannot be quelled. With a flick of my wrist, I push the document forward, refusing to back down. I refuse to walk away while we ignore the unsafe practices that put patients at risk. The room holds its breath, witnesses and coworkers shifting like shadows around us. I see the collective realization dawn, a chain of reactions blooming as the truth slams into each of them, spreading like wildfire and igniting their anger. The murmurs grow, and I can feel the delicate thread of solidarity weaving through us, a web of shared conviction formed in the heat of this moment. Dr. Henderson stumbles back as the weight of accusations crushes him, the facade of confidence melting away into a puddle of fear and desperation. "You can't do this. Please, I'll make it right. I'll fix it. Just give me a chance." His plea spills forth. But it's too late. There's nothing left for him but the echoes of his choices, the broken man cornered by his own arrogance. But there's no room for his pleas. "This isn't about you anymore," I state firmly, voice steady with purpose. "This is about every life you put in jeopardy, every patient you dismissed for your own pride." The crowd's energy shifts, embers of outrage igniting in their eyes as they start to rally around the truth. There's no return from here, no reverting to the status quo. As Dr. Henderson looks around, pain and defeat etched into his features, I know that pity will not stop the tide of justice that now swells behind me. "We're not going backward," I say resolutely, locking eyes with him once more, the defiance swirling in me strong enough to drown any hint of regret. His shoulders slump, defeat washing over him like an icy wave. With a heavy silence settling in, I step back, feeling the power of unity rise as the truth solidifies, unbreakable and pure. "I refuse to be complicit in this any longer," I state, my voice quieting but unwavering. "I choose to stand for every life we are called to protect. There is strength in this truth, and we're not turning back." In that moment, I hold on to that truth as tightly as I can, knowing that the battle's far from over, but the first blow has been struck. Justice doesn't whisper, it shouts. I'm Maya Thompson, and it's been 6 months since that night, a night that felt like the culmination of everything I had battled against. I stand here now in a new hospital, a field of fresh possibilities around me. The air is still crisp with antiseptic, but there's a different energy that hums through the halls. It's light, as if the very walls are sighing in relief after enduring years of complacency. I can feel it in my bones. We're turning a corner. I've taken on a role in a community health initiative, a program aimed at creating lasting connections between caregivers and patients. It's not just about treating ailments. It's about understanding individuals, their stories, their lives. I often catch myself reflecting on Mrs. Lawrence and how close we came to losing her because of pride and arrogance masquerading as expertise. Those moments, that tension, have become my anchor instead of my chain. They remind me why I wake up early, grab my coffee, and head to work every day. There's a sense of purpose I didn't quite capture before. Every time I step into a room, meet a patient, or share a laugh with a family member, It's a reminder that I'm not just doing a job. I'm part of something meaningful. I'm rooted in their lives, in their moments of vulnerability, and that bond is sacred to me. I may never forget the fight I had to endure, going against the current, but in this new chapter, I find strength in those memories. They fuel my advocacy, my compassion, and they push me to speak louder for those whose voices often get drowned out. Sure, there are still days when I catch myself thinking about Dr. Henderson and the chaos he brought with him into our lives. Ironically, his mistakes led me here, to this place where I can effect real change, one encounter at a time. Life has its twists and turns, and I've learned to embrace that unpredictability. The fight I thought would break me has carved out a new path that leads to connection, purpose, and the unwavering start of a new life. I'm Maya Thompson, and today marks a milestone I never thought I'd reach. As I stand in front of the podium at the Community Health Initiative's annual conference, my heart races, a whirlwind of anxiety and excitement bubbling beneath the surface. This isn't just any speech, it's a culmination of everything I've worked for, a chance to echo the voices of those who can no longer speak for themselves, like Mrs. Lawrence. The room is packed with nurses, doctors, community leaders, and advocates, all of them eager to discuss the vital changes we're making within the healthcare system. It's thrilling yet daunting, knowing that I'll have to share my story, the confrontation with Dr. Henderson, the turmoil, and how it transformed my path. But beyond that, I want to inspire. As I step to the front, I can feel the weight of their gazes on me. Some familiar faces from my old hospital, others curious about this new chapter I've stepped into. I take a deep breath, adjusting the microphone, ready to dig into the heart of it all. I blew the whistle, I begin, my voice shaking slightly, but gaining strength as I go. And it wasn't easy. It meant standing up in a room full of my colleagues, pouring out the truth, when it could have cost me everything. But I realized something powerful. It's not about what we risk, it's about the lives we save. The audience leans in, intrigued, as I weave through the details of that chaotic night, of how my resolve grew like wildfire in the face of arrogance. I learned that we hold lives in our hands, and if we don't care to lift those weights together, we might let someone down. Not just patients, but ourselves as caregivers. I can see nods of agreement, some whispering to each other like children at a school presentation. We've implemented training sessions on empathy, communication, and attentiveness because this isn't just about numbers or charts. It's about people. Every heartbeat deserves our full attention. And there it is, the turning point, the pulse of a united front building in the room. I share how our new initiative aims to foster stronger patient relationships and how each small action contributes to a greater change. I see familiar faces among the crowd, old colleagues who stood by me in the aftermath of that night, and new ones who are ready to push for what's right. As I close my speech, I feel a swell of emotion rise within me. Together, let's hold the line for each other, for those who depend on us. We can't change the past, but we sure can shape a better, more compassionate future. Let's not be the ones who stay quiet when the truth is on the line. I am Maya Thompson, and I choose to stand up. The room erupts into applause, and I feel a wave of warmth flood through me. Ashar, I step back from the podium, breathless yet exhilarated, knowing I'll never have to walk this journey alone again. And as the chatter begins to flow, as colleagues approach me to share their thoughts, I can't help but feel that we're at the beginning of something monumental. This change is not just mine, it belongs to all of us, a testament to what can happen when we dare to fight for what's right. If this journey has shown me anything, it's that our voices are powerful and change is possible when we refuse to remain silent. Now let's keep this momentum going. Don't forget to subscribe immediately so you don't miss our next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm, and let's get the word out there. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about how we can further push for change. And most importantly, instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to join us in this fight for a better, kinder healthcare system. Let's